As a beginner beat maker or producer, how do you decide what type of music to start with? That's what I'm going to talk about inside this video. Stick around. Hey, this is Marlon from marlymacmedia.com. Here on this channel, I do videos about beat making and music production. If you're into this sort of thing, stick around and watch the videos that I have on the channel. If you're completely new to this, by the way, I have a free getting started guide, as well as some free training and some other resources such as project files that you can download. Head over to marlymacmedia.com where you can get started for free right now. Now, it can be tricky as a producer or beat maker when you're just starting out, because I think you need to figure out what type of music to produce. This is important because it can help you with your approach and actually helping you to find your sound, okay? Your kind of style. If you want to do this commercially, then the decision now is based on really what audience you're trying to go after. For example, if you are planning to have your music played in front of an audience that is for hip hop or for dance or EDM or whatever it is, then that makes the decision a lot more easy. However, I'm assuming here that you're doing this because you love it, first of all, and it's not for commercial reasons, and you want to do it as a hobby to begin with. Now, this leaves everything wide open. You have pretty much every choice out there. You can make whatever type of music you want to make. And the easy answer I could give you is that, you know what, just make what you like, make what you love. But I want to dive a bit deeper than that. And I'm going to run through 3 or so key points that you need to consider when deciding what type of music to create. So the first thing to consider is that some genres actually rely on live instruments being recorded in order for it to sound good and to be authentic enough. So you'd need to be able to play an instrument or have access to somebody that plays an instrument. This is how a lot of productions are done for certain genres, where the producer might bring in session musicians to actually play, like, let's say, a saxophone part or the guitar if they don't play the guitar. And this is what's going to make the tracks come to life. So you can have limitations when it comes to just doing the electronic version of that, because you won't have necessarily you won't have necessarily the same flexibility, the same type of feel and vibe when you produce those genres. Some genres that are typical for this are jazz, rock and roll, maybe if you're doing metal, or even some styles of reggae, some types of reggae, anything that requires live instrumentation, then it might be tricky for you to just produce out the box. Out the box meaning that you're sticking with virtual instruments inside your software on your computer. Now, there are ways around this. You could use samples that are really high quality and recorded authentically. However, you're going to be restricted to what those samples are, because they're baked in, they're already recorded with whatever idea this sample producer decided to do. If you're, on the other hand, thinking, okay, I want to think of a part and just have it recorded, have it played by a guitarist or a saxophonist or somebody else that plays an instrument, then you won't be able to rely on samples for that. So just bear that in mind. That narrows down your choices if you're just thinking about getting started and you don't have access to all of these things. The second point I'd like to make is that I believe that you should start with the type of music that you actually already know and enjoy. So stuff that you're familiar with, provided, of course, you can pull that off just outside, just within your music production software and not have to have live instruments being played. And the reason I say you need to start with those types of tracks is because you already know what they should feel like. You already know how they should, how it should move you emotionally. You already know what sounds good and what doesn't sound good, because you're familiar with it and you don't have to think too much into it. And that can get you started really quickly. You'll be able to, I think, make more progress more quickly within learning how to create the various elements in those types of music. And that being said, once you've actually gotten your workflow down, you've gotten confidence, built up some more confidence, I think you should then move outside of your comfort zone. And that brings me to the third point that I'd like to make, which is to experiment. This is the only way you're going to actually expand your music production. What's the word I'm looking for? This is how you're going to expand your music production palette and train your ear to listen out for different things. If you're listening to a genre or trying to make a genre that is not within your comfort zone, it's not the type of music you would typically listen to, this makes you more alert, as opposed to when you're making something you're familiar with. You're almost like on autopilot because you know, okay, this is how it should sound. You're not listening out. You're not paying attention as much in a way. However, if you're doing a genre that's outside of your comfort zone, it forces you to think more. It forces you to actually use your creative part of your brain to, pull out these little things that you notice here and there, and you can think, okay, that was clever, what they did there. And you wouldn't necessarily find that in the genres that you would usually listen to. And this is going to eventually help you to bring ideas together and create your own sound. And I think that's the best way to approach it. So you start listening to things that you wouldn't typically listen to and break it down. Listen analytically and see exactly what they're doing. Look at how they do their chord progressions, for example. Look at how they do the arrangement of the track as a whole. Look at the choice of sounds that they use and see if you can bring that into your own world and do something that you're more comfortable with, but bringing some of those ideas across. And I think that's really the best way for you to start. What I'm going to do is leave a video up on screen so you can continue watching. Just click to continue learning about music production and continue the journey. And I'll speak to you soon.